Well, we've only had this little RZR 170 out for really one big ride, and we're already gonna do some performance upgrades to it. We got some new shocks for going on the girl. Now granted, I will say that this RZR 170 doesn't ride bad for the suspension travel it has. It only has 5 inches of travel, which really isn't a whole lot less than the Pioneer 500 stock at 5.5. But anyway, so it doesn't ride too bad, but I have noticed watching the kiddos ride it, it does bounce them around pretty good. So I went online and searched to see what kind of good replacement shocks were out there, and we picked some up, actually really cheap. For the front, we got some used 660 Raptor shocks off of eBay for $100 for the pair, which I think is a pretty good deal. These supposedly are a simple bolt-on for the front, so that should go pretty well. You can see here these are actually dual rate springs, preload adjustable, and they're just an overall better shock. I mean, look at the length of the spring of this compared to the length of the spring on the stock. It's a lot shorter, and you're really not even using, I mean, look at the travel of the piston in there. The shock piston. I mean, that's nothing compared to this. Not really, I guess there's not a whole lot of difference there. We'll get them, compare them side by side. There's a little bit more in this, so you do have a little bit more shock travel. But these are also preload adjustable. And for the rear, I'm not sure if these were gonna work. Greg actually had these sitting at his place for years. They're off a 400 to 450 Sport Quad. I can't remember exactly what he said. But these are remote reservoir. They are compression and rebound adjustable, fully adjustable. So, I mean, this is gonna be a really good upgrade for the rear. They look to be the same length, and I think our only issue may be if, well, I don't even think our reservoirs are going to mount, because the way these bolts are, these will actually set in here, or I may have to put them so they set out to have clearance, but I think these are going to work fine. Lengthwise, these are 17.25, and from what I've read, the length of these eye to eye, that 17.25 should work just fine. So we're going to jack it up. We'll start with the front because we know they're simple bolt on. Jack it up, pull the wheels, and slap those puppies in there.
Yeah, putting the jack on.
All right, Torrin. Hey, this is your turn. Crank her up. Crank her up. Keep going. Crank her. Crank her. Crank. Okay, that's good enough. Torrin, do you want to run the impact too? No. You don't? Okay.
Kinda does.
Or get your ears plugged.
She's already got her ears plugged.
That wasn't too bad, was it?
Did you have those wheels off before?
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I did the alignment.
Okay.
I didn't film that or have any footage of that, but I did do that alignment shortly after we got it. All right. Now, are these the same size? I think they are.
What size is it?
14 millimeter.
Plug your ears, guys.
All right, I can get a wrench though on the other side. Ah! All right, Torrin, you want to hold this on there? Hold her tight. Hold her tight.
Where's his earplugs?
Ah, it's not good job, bud.
How strong I am.
You're really strong, Torrin. Good job.
Yeah, I was just holding
Watch your
half.
leg.
I was just holding half muscles. That's all.
All right. Oh, I'm not gonna get into this one as easy. Can I still get in there? Oh, I can still get in there though. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Get that under. Believe it or not, I'm going to praise Polaris, although I don't know how much Polaris actually had in the design of it. But the way they design these buggies, there is actually quite a bit of suspension travel here. If you look, notice here, the mounts for these A-arms are way inside. Oh, there's grease points there I didn't notice. I'll have to grease. So by having those mount points inside like this together, that allows a lot more suspension travel here with this little buggy. So I'm guessing that with different shocks, we're gonna get a lot more than 5 inches of travel out of this. Wow, so lengthwise, they are almost done. It looks like we're probably gonna gain about a 1/2 inch of length. But here you can really see the difference in the actual shock travel. We're probably gaining 2 inches of additional travel. So that would get us up, theoretically, to about 7 inches of travel. But, like I said, these are supposedly simple bolt ends. I wonder if our nut sizes are even the same. Oh, they are. Look at that. So, Raptor Shocks, 660. I think I saw people say that they have used 700 shocks too. They are a perfect fit. I'm gonna grease this guy a little bit because that's a little old and rusty crusty.
Don't wipe it on your pants, man. Resist all urge.
It's gonna be so hard. I want to do it. I want to do it. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what goes at the top and what goes at the bottom. We'll put our preload indicator out. So you know, oh, that is a perfect fit. Perfect.
And when it falls on your head, it'll go up and jack that thing up higher. And it'll drop down.
Perfect.
You go over there.
Perfect.
You sure you don't want to run the impact? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll do the other side. I'll do that.
Plug your ears.
And this one is, we gotta barbarically do it by hand because there isn't room to get the impact. Actually, if I got a shorter, right here on my ratchet. What am I doing? I mean,
Plug your ears.
oh yeah, here we go, there we go. Oh, it took the play right out of there. And just like that, this side's done. Besides adjusting the preload if need be here. But,
That took less than 10 minutes.
and that was
Start
me
to finish.
messing around. So hopefully the rears go as easy. Excuse me, bud. I need the tire.
I need the tire.
Can you get me the lug nuts, please? They're on the bench. Sitting right behind me. Down this way. Never mind, they're right here. My arms are long enough to reach. You were too slow, mister. That's it. I'm taking half your wages.
He was lagging on the lug.
I am taking half of your wages for the day.
What is this? I like this. I don't like this.
It's the amount of money you get paid, man.
For doing work. When you need a job.
I'll do the other side all by myself. With a little help from you.
You do the other side all by yourself.
Yeah, with a little.
Sounds good to me. That's what I done. I can tell all these are longer because I can tell.
It's towing in.
Yeah, so we might not need to do the adjustment on there. That was one thing. These are notorious for sagging in the front once the shocks get old.
The original.
Yeah, which means that your wheel, instead of being like this, it would really be bowed out with weight when riding on there. And these are supposed to completely eliminate that too.
Okay.
So that's good. All right, bud. It's all yours. Go. Whoops, we're on reverse. There, okay, we're reverse. Go ahead. Stick her on there, make sure it's on good and level before you squeeze the trigger so you don't strip it. Whoa, let go! Next one.
I need a little help stick.
Whoa! Once it's loose, bud, you can let go of that trigger. Go. Good job. One more. Hit it. All right, pull the tire. Pull it off, pull it off.
That's a little too heavy.
Straight over. Somebody had to get that tire all muddy.
I can't get into this garage without getting stuff all muddy.
You gotta pave it.
All right, bud. I will do your job on the last one. Hold this. You can wrench that off of there. Or do you want to hold the... You want to hold the wrench? You got her good and tight? I might try to rip out of your hand. Good job. Oh, we got a brake reservoir on this side. It's a little tighter. Uh-oh.
Do you know which way's up and which way's down, Torin?
So that's the part right there.
Tell mommy
Down the
that
part.
it really does not matter.
Oh, really?
How would you go
A shock will work just as good upside down as it does right side.
So is there a definite upside
that
down right
is a
side?
very-
Can we do that at the bottom one, Dada?
Theological question.
No, can that be at the bottom?
If it works as good one way as it does the others, they're really upside down and right side up.
Daddy?
Typically, you put the preload adjusters towards the bottom.
So they're muddier?
Yeah, that's a very good point. If they were at the top.
Well, I see that the top, where that is it the piston that's coming out, no lower down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd see that as a place if it's getting splashed up into it could be a problem.
Yeah, but you can also hold the mud on top just as well as it comes on, you know.
Yeah, but it has to be higher.
See, things are more likely to get on there and set and seep in than if it's up this way. Oh, and it splashes, then it just runs down and doesn't get in.
Has anyone done any studies on this?
I don't know.
Grease gun time.
Greaser!
Thank you for doing it and not making him do it.
Tori, you want to do the grease?
No. I would spray it on you.
What you do, Tori, is you get your hands all covered in grease. And then you have to go to the bathroom. So you just run in, get the doorknob to the house all nice and greasy. Get the sink handles nice and greasy because you want to wash the grease off your hands before you go to the bathroom.
With the grease soup. With the grease soap. Right, Dada? With that grease.
Yeah, then you leave the grease soap residue sit in the sink for
Sit in the
days.
sink and it gets rock hard. And
And then you have to turn the water on it. And you have to turn the...
What'd you hurt?
And I'll do the bottom.
Can I see it?
I'll do this thing.
Can I kiss it?
I'll do that.
Was that a tick on your arm?
No.
It's great.
Is it a tickle on your arm?
No, I just sweat.
It's
And
just
then I'll
great.
need that back. What happened to you doing like this?
What?
Look at that.
What did you do?
It came like that when I found it.
Alright, bud. You can hold. Hold tight.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Daddy.
There's no dirt on this buggy. What are you talking about?
Okay, Dad.
With lug nuts torn, it's a little different. You don't want to, you gotta tighten them evenly in a crisscross pattern.
I don't know how to do that.
So I'm gonna teach you.
So I'll let you do them.
No, I'm going to teach you how to do it.
Oh, you do the two top ones, I'll do the two bottom ones. Got it, Dad? Daddy?
You gotta be very careful with the trigger. Oh, come on, start on there. We're just gonna go just till it goes one time. Or just till it gets snug. So I'm hardly pushing the trigger. Pushing. See, I'm not doing it to where. Go ahead and do this one. But don't fully squeeze the trigger, just ease it. Just till the nut touches. Okay, now go up to this one. Sure you hold it on there square so it doesn't strip. There you go. Okay, now put it on this one and go ahead and squeeze that trigger. Down here. You see how we're doing opposites? Whoa, you gotta hold it on there tight. Whoa, good job, bud. Make sure you hold it tight so it doesn't slip off and strip. Alright, front done. Tori, turn that handle lower or down. Can you turn it? There you go. Turn it. Nope, other way.
Oh.
Ready? Help me turn. Ready? Well, that's setting quite a bit higher. Yeah, I don't think we need to mess with that preload any. Oh, I can tell that's going to be a lot softer. That's going to be good.
Like this.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot softer.
Yeah, let me.
Put on, let's put this under here. And we're going to pump. Okay, that's far enough. those jack stands.
The front tires are starting to go up.
Oh, dirty. All right. So the question is, how are these going to? They look like they're gonna work. They are pretty close to the same length, aren't they? I think we'll have clearance. Because I'd like to put them this way with that reservoir in, but if it doesn't fit, then it really wouldn't hurt to have them not that way either.
As long as they don't hit off the tire.
Yeah, they won't. They'll be up tall enough, I think. But, you know, it's got the manhandle.
There's a bit of mud. You had this all washed off and then they took it for another ride.
I don't want to go in this.
Oh, I got that.
Ouch! Oh, Paige mobbing! But I got it.
Yay, so it was worth it. Blood, sweat, and tears. Torn, are you okay?
I couldn't do it either.
Oh, come on. There we go. Come out of there. All right, guys. Again, you can see the comparison here between the two. Very, very close in length. These are maybe 3/4 to 1 inch longer. And again, these rears are also dual rate springs and fully adjustable. Compression and rebound.
I did a mommy trap instead.
And looks like the whole size is the exact same too. Let's see.
Moment of truth if they fit.
If
I think
anything,
they're gonna be too wide with it.
Why don't you?
this is a little skinnier. I wonder if I can. Oh, you know what? See this bushing. I wonder if I can tap this bushing spacer out. And insert it into this shock.
That'll be good.
Because they look to be the same size.
I think your table is getting ready to fall apart.
Yeah, I need it, of course. Here.
All that particle board as you're pounding, I see it falling to the floor.
That was already broke anyway. Got the right size, but do I have enough of the right? Reservoir's gonna make it tricky to get those in there too. There we go. Got plenty of clearance for him, I do believe. Yeah.
That one's not down in the bottom, but it's hitting this. It's not wide, it's hitting this.
Well, like I said, I'll be spacing it. It'll be
okay.
It'll be over.
You sure?
Yeah. That's a pretty good size. Alright, well, we're going to have to put this project on hold for tonight so I can go to the hardware and get some washers. But as far as it looks like they're going to fit, we just got to get some spacers because the mounts on the shock are a little bit narrower than the stock ones. So they are. But other than that, they look like we're going to be pretty good. Cool, cool. So, to be continued. And I'm back. And we got all the shocks in. As you can see here, the shocks fit quite nicely. It took quite a few washers to space in between the shock mounts, but it's gonna be all right. Again, it's a RZR 170. The kids aren't gonna be ripping 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. I think the top speed on this thing's like 18 miles an hour. So I'm not too worried about using that many spacers. But there's plenty of room in here for the reservoirs, as you can see. And we can easily get to the adjustments. So we can adjust the stiffness and the compression here, the rebound. So that'll be good. One more thing I'm gonna do before I wrap up here is I realize I have these 1.5-inch wheel spacers that I had on Mighty Mouse. And guess what? This RZR 170 happens to be a 4-on-110 bolt pattern. So these puppies fit right on there, because these I think were actually for a Yamaha Grizzly. So it does have the 10mm studs and not the 12mm studs. So it'll work with this RZR 170. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on all 4 corners just to widen it out just a touch. It'll give a little bit more stability for the kiddos and also help widening out the stance will make it absorb bumps a little bit better because of that little extra leverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these spacers on here real quick, and that'll wrap up this quick little RZR 170 upgrade. So seeing how my daughter is the one who's had the most seat time in the RZR 170, I figured it was only fitting to let her do the testing. She is the most familiar with how it rode with the stock shocks and how it bounced her around. So she's the best one to tell us and to test to see how these other shocks improved it. So she has rode it quite a bit since we put the new shocks in, and she said it's made quite a bit of difference. She said it's a lot smoother and a lot nicer to ride, and the main thing is she said it's a lot more enjoyable to ride, which is the very important thing, because you don't want kids to be put off by a bad experience by like a badly handling or riding machine, because that could pretty much put them off of riding for the rest of their life. So you want kids to have a good experience with stuff like this, and that way they develop a passion for the sport, and then as they get older they can pursue that passion. So I was really pleased to hear that my daughter said that it made a big improvement on how it rides. And you can see here that despite the short travel in this rocky terrain here at the jumps, it's running fairly smooth. Now, no, you get into a whoop section, that limited travel is still going to hurt you, as you can see her bounce around here. But for your average riding, it made a big improvement, and she enjoys riding it more now. Another thing worth mentioning here is I was a little worried with running the spacers and widening the RZR 170 out that it's going to make it harder to steer, being that it does not have power steering. But my daughter did not complain about the steering whatsoever. I asked her if it's harder to steer. She hasn't noticed any difference, so that is awesome. We've extended it out a good 3 inches, which is really going to help the stability of it, but she can still steer it just fine. It hasn't become overbearingly hard to steer. They do make power steering kits for these RZR 170s, but they're kind of hard to find, and they are super expensive, so not having to run out, buy one, and install it for her is a plus. Plus, that'll get her arm strength good and strong. So here's a little bit of a side-by-side comparison of the stock shocks versus the new shocks. Of course, watching this, it's hard to tell really any difference at all. So I'm basically going on my daughter's word that it is a big improvement. I didn't ride it enough beforehand to tell any difference, but here's a slow-mo comparison. You guys can try to see if you can tell much of a difference by watching my daughter bounce up and down and watching the wheel travel. I will say the newer shocks, I can see the wheels traveling up and down a lot more. But she's happy with it. She says it's improved and it's good enough for me. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, subscribing, supporting Appalachian mountain riders in whichever way you're able to support. And until next time, keep on riding.